Good morning, my friends, and welcome to another episode of My Frequencies, where we have come to a pond, a lake, to watch the sunrise. So, you may remember about 4 years ago, I think it was 4 years ago, they had this thing called the Brexit referendum. And we've never addressed this topic on My Frequencies because it's irrelevant. And you might say, but hang on a minute, you're from Britain and you live in Europe, so surely Brexit would be a big deal for you. And the key realization comes from knowing what these words mean and looking at what these words mean, the underlying meanings of them, the definition of terms. Now, I don't follow mainstream media, so it's quite possible that The Guardian and the BBC and the Telegraph and Sky News and whoever else was concerning themselves with this, is quite probable that they've already told you this 4 years ago when it first happened. But Brexit's the wrong bloody name for it. Brexit is a portmanteau. It's a word we've created by smushing two other words together, and it's British exit or Britain exit. And here's where we get into the definition of terms, right? Because Britain is an archipelago off the coast of a landmass known as Europe. So the premise is that Britain is exiting from Europe. But like I say, these journalists, the professional journalists, they probably told you that Brexit was the wrong word, because really what it is UK exit, Uckexit. Doesn't have quite the same ring to it, but hopefully they broke this down, because like I say, all of this national stuff is founded in law, international law as well, right? Not necessarily domestic law, which you might be familiar with. So Britain is not leaving Europe. That's the first point of contention I have with the Brexit story, because it's just a story, okay? All we have are stories. For understanding reality, all we have are stories. But we can clearly see that's not true, because geographically, I mean, the English Channel, supposedly, the sea levels rose as the last ice age ended and the English Channel was formed, and it's eroded itself and it's getting marginally wider. But you would not say, you'd have to be crazy to say that Britain was exiting Europe. And you might say, oh, hey dude, you're just being pedantic with your definition of terms and saying that there's a difference between the United Kingdom and Britain. But that's exactly what I'm saying. When it comes to law and when it comes to legal definitions, they don't mince words. They don't say United Kingdom if they mean Great Britain. And it's irrelevant to me because I know that it's meaningless. I know how unimportant it is, because I've been to the real places and I've seen that nothing's really changed. I've lived here it's getting on a year and a half, and I think in that entire time, people know I'm English, or they assume I'm Scottish because of the beard quite often. But really, I don't see myself as anything. And as far as I'm concerned, there's only one forest in the world. That's what I've learned from spending time in forests. They all have exactly the same feeling. Nature feels the same here as it does in England. You know, these are just ideas. These nations are just ideas, and the European Union is just an idea. And it only functions because people believe in it. You have an all caps legal name with a salutation at the start, like a Mr. or a Miss. And no one calls me Mr., and if they do, they get corrected. My name's not Mr. anything, it starts with Jason. And most of the time it ends with Jason. If they demand a surname, I'll make something up, but you know, it's one name for me. That's all I need. It's just a sound to get my attention. And it's the same with countries. There's a real country here, a land, a beautiful land. What little of it I've seen, it's known as France. We only give it that name so that people know what we're talking about. It doesn't really need a name. The name spoils it to some extent, and it certainly can't describe the scale and the beauty of the place. But then there's the Republic of France, which is an imaginary bullshit, fictitious creation. And it serves a purpose, an administrative purpose. But other than that, it's kind of like, it's a huge drain on the people of France, just like the United Kingdom is a huge drain on the people of Britain. A real place with a a certain amount of resources, a certain amount of energy that is produced every single day, a certain number of mouths to feed, and then you've got this system which they're kind of dependent on. But it's like that, it's like a codependent, it's like an addiction or something, you know, because there's so much negativity, and you kind of just shrug it off and go, oh yeah, well, we need government, we need a government of some kind, we need an administration of some kind. But it's an absolute monster. Babylon is an absolute monster. So people give away a lot of power to these ideas, to these names, and they don't even really know what they mean. It doesn't take much to look into them. You know, I'm not a great researcher, I'm not a great academic or anything like that, but I know how to use the internet. I know the internet is the greatest tool for emancipation that has ever been conceived. But you know, you just got to know what you're looking for, and you've got to know how to use the heart, because the heart is the compass that will let you know you're on the right path. It's a feeling you get in your chest that spreads out and fills your entire being. So yeah, Julie and I have got a civil union almost, not quite to that extent, but we did go to the town hall and like sign a document together. So it's legally recognised that a piece of paper that says Mademoiselle Julie Blaise and a piece of paper that says my legal name on it have been put in a file together in the flipping mayor's office in Avalon. That's basically it. You know, and I've said to Julie, you know that this is meaningless, and she's like, yeah, you know, it's just for the legal side of things, sure. The union between two people is my promise to you that I'm going to see this through with you. I'm going to go on this adventure with you. We're going to raise a family together, hopefully, and we're going to raise them here in Avalon. And that means everything. That promise and that piece of paper is meaningless. And it's exactly the same with Brexit and the European Union. Membership of the European Union. It's meaningless. It's a piece of paper, and the reality is to form friendships and to form relationships across a boundary like that. A fake boundary, an imaginary boundary, right? And people think it's bad because you're going to need extra paperwork. And sure, there is probably going to come a time, I think it's actually later this year, when I may need to have a visa to work here. You know, and I hear the criticism when people say it's going to be harder to go on holiday, it's going to be harder to do stuff like I'm doing, like go and live in these places. It's going to be harder for people who are, you know, within European Union countries to come and live and work in Britain. And it's kind of, that's the thing, it's moving in the wrong direction, because people do recognise, and this is something that, even if you disagree with me, that, well, I'm not necessarily saying that Brexit was a good thing, but I think the simple fact that it's bucking the trend is a great thing. Like, that is awesome. Deep down, the thing that we're all going to agree on is that we are all in it together. We are all one. And a lot of the reasoning behind that is kind of founded on ideas which are taken as fact but are actually really rather faith-based. It doesn't matter for the sake of saying that we agree on this, but my point here is that ideas like the European Union are not the right way to achieve the reality of that union of souls, of human souls. It's not the right way to bring it into being. It's not about nations and sticking fake nations together to make big fake supranations like the European Union. It's about realising that the truth and the reality of it is what's inside of you. It's not worth the paper it's printed on if you're not there with the breath to back it up. You breathe life into it, literally. These nations are fucking imaginary, they're worthless. Look at this beautiful stuff going on here. The best show on earth. The best show on earth. Free, available to all. You don't need a vaccine passport for this spectacular show. You want to watch the rugby, the football, you want to watch the latest Hollywood movie, you need a vaccine passport. But if you want to watch this, you don't need it. You can watch my frequencies without a vaccine passport. Isn't that great? And you can watch the sun come up wherever you are in the world. I can feel it right now. My hands are freezing, but I've just got a little bit of warmth on the back of my hand. It's just letting me know that everything's going to be okay. Now, all of this stuff I'm talking about is fucking bollocks. It's meaningless. I tell Julie this when we talk about real stuff, grown-up stuff like money and like visas and things like this. And I say to her, you know this is all bullshit, right? And she's like, yeah, I know. You know, as always, there's probably a load of stuff I didn't say. It'll have to be for the next video, won't it? Thanks for watching.
I'm gonna big up all the real rebels, real revolutionary. Sure. Nobody greatest power. Sing, yeah. Wow. So only love you deal with. Real revolutionary. Sure. Yeah. Take it on. Hey. Real revolutionary. Fight for what.